So I figured I will record a kind of in-depth, slow-moving developer overview of the Rdf tab feature that I added to Robust. But first thing I noticed that my limit of 5 million free, there's a limit of 5 million triples that you have in the free edition of Allegrograph, and my local server started, well, not crashing, but the post-processing step started crashing because of this. Never mind. So first I gotta figure out how to delete all the triples in the database. Quite an optimization to delete everything. Oh. Okay, so the password is auto-generated for each new Docker stack deployment. You have the template for the config file that you can edit, and then you have the actual config file. It's generated in the runner script somewhere here, and the password is auto-generated. So this is the username and password for my local deployment. And that should be the admin, right? Oh. So you have the A repository. It's like a hard-coded name for a repository that's used when well, maybe for like all logged in users, like when you have a front end, like a proxy, the caddy server that authenticates users with maybe OAuth or the basic out method. I believe maybe that's how it's set up now. They would all share this repository A. But if you are like coming like a nobody, then the pub repository is used, and here's when I ran out of free triples. So delete all the things. Bye bye. Now the way that the triples are loaded into the database is quite, well, it's a bit complicated because usually things start with the Rdf templates here. So the Excel plugin will read this in, not just the templates, but all the, that's kind of the point with Rdf, that it can be a little hard to categorize data into buckets, so like in a logical way. So we just read everything in, and all this data become part of the request file, the request RDF file that's uploaded to the server. And an interesting point about that is a lot of the taxonomy is actually like, for example, not all of this, all of this has a fixed URL, but you're gonna see things that are namespaced to the file, and those eventually end up in the request graph, or the graph for the job being processed. So like, I believe the L here, maybe it could be the L here. I believe there is a special logic in the prolog side. When the RDF is being loaded. Yeah, all graphs are put into the default graph for one, and here we are replacing the yep. So every node that starts with this XR request So this is because the Excel doesn't it's not gonna have to come up with a unique name in a namespace for like all the requests that anyone could have on the server. So the Excel just stores everything in this just namespace to this local file, and the file is loaded like when it's loaded, everything that's namespace to the file will have the full URL will be, it's still gonna be, I believe, namespaced to the base URL of the file. Base, oh, right here, base. So base URL of the file, but then we add the XR request, and so all the stuff that's like, what actually? Like this, talking about the request itself. But more importantly, all the data that's generated from the Excel sheets, like all the actual request data. So we're gonna take all that and change the prefix to request data URI base, which is actually a URI that's generated unique for each request coming to the server. So now you have okay, well, that's probably about all for the namespacing, but the graph itself, I guess that was my bigger point. The graph itself here is also gonna, like, for example, the all these facts, all the templates, we load it into the default graph, which is on the prolog side. It's just the item default. It's just this item default, but when the prolog doc is being exported, I believe, this actually becomes a graph named after the job, the unique job / request identifier. So in the end, all this template data ends up in its own ends up in the same graph as all the data of the request. So, and it's kind of an important point to make, because this is trying to be some kind of ontology and stuff like that, and but it's not global for the server or something like that. It lives with the request.